It's just Trader Sam. Who knows who Trader Sam is?
That's exactly right.
He'll trade 2 heads for one of yours.
And to be fair, Trader Sam could have traded himself.
My mind has literally just been blown by what you just dropped right there. Welcome back to i2i Reviews, the place where we talk about the things that we're seeing in theaters, but also streaming-wise that are related to Disney. My name is Kyle.
And my name is Jessica. And before we get started, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel and turning on that notification bell so you don't miss any of our content.
As a reminder, this is not our home channel. That's called i2i Kyle and Jessica. We talk about all things Disney there, so come on over and check that out if you haven't. There's a link for it in the description, but also up in the video right now if you want to do that after you finish watching this, of course. Now, this is a spoiler-filled review, as most things are on this channel, so be warned, we are talking about
The Jungle Cruise,
which is a movie that I have been looking forward to for feels like eons.
Yeah, a long time, because wasn't it supposed to come out in like 2020?
So let me just tell you the saga.
2019?
The saga that was Jungle Cruise. This thing was like announced like way back in the day, and as you know, well, you may remember it, most movies take about 3 years from when they're announced to get onto theaters. This was announced in 2015, which means it should have been out in 2018. Well, it kept getting bumped back, and then it was bumped back again because of COVID-19 to 2021.
Wow.
And the movie, I think, was ready in 2019 late.
That's the worst part about this is it's been ready and just waiting.
So it got bumped back originally because of, remember how loaded 2019 was with Avengers Endgame and just everything else that year? Like just was, they thought
that was the year of movies. Dang it, we should have known the pandemic was coming because that was a great year for movies. I
thought about that actually. That sounds like conspiracy theorist type of thing. I was like, it is kind of odd that streaming services came out and were all the rage during that, right about that time. And all those movies came out. I'm joking, seriously, honestly, but it's funny when you look at the coincidence. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. But it was supposed to come out in 2019, got bumped back to 2020 because everybody thought, well, it can't survive, and, get lost in translation and all this. And then
famous last words.
Bumped back. Dates were changed around a lot. There was debate on whether it was going to be theaters at all. Thank goodness we got it in theaters because I love seeing movies. Okay, fine, go ahead.
I'm just saying, this would have been the perfect one to only be on Disney Plus, not pay premiere access for it. Just my opinion. Spoiler, I did not love this movie.
I disagree with you because...
Of course you do. You always disagree with me.
Do you want me to agree with it? Okay. I agree with you, Jessica.
That's good.
Show's up. I disagree because I think action-adventure movies need to be seen in theaters.
Typically,
rom-coms, yes. Let's go watch
them.
Gosh. Let's go watch them on our couch.
Now,
sure.
Agreed with that too. Even though I love rom-coms, but
I didn't say I didn't love them. Just said they're just not meant to be seen in theaters.
I agree with you that there were certain scenes that were like jumping things that it was much more entertaining being in a theater.
Since you said it, can we address the 1 or 2 times that you jumped? You didn't see them coming. There are actually like 2 or 3 jump scares in this thing, and I'm not talking like, oh, there's just something. Somebody said a loud noise. There was like legitimate like
horror movie jump scares,
and I felt them coming, and I went like I looked at her, and then sure enough, I just saw her go like that, and I'm like, I got her.
It's a miracle that last one that was so bad. It's a miracle I didn't scream.
Was it the snake one or was it the other one?
No, when the guy jumps out.
Yes, that one. The snake one was the first one where you were really just like caught off guard.
Honestly, I thought I was going to scream out loud, and I was like, oh gosh.
So be prepared.
So embarrassing. How can you be prepared? I mean, we can tell you there's there's scary things all the time, but until it gets to you, there's no preparation. Let me give you a hint.
The jump scare is coming when your attention is looking one way, the camera starts to pan the other, and then it gets real quiet.
That's when it's so coming. Specific.
I'm telling you.
Thank you. And you know what else I'm telling you? You're not going to know. You're just not.
Okay. Well, that's very thorough analysis on your part. All right. Well, how about this? Before we talk about the things you didn't like, one of the best things this movie does is what it does in bringing the ride to life into the movie. They did a great job with this.
I felt like that at the very beginning of the movie, you definitely get the feeling that you're on the ride. When he's got, what's his name? Frank, when he's got everybody on the actual tour with him, like, he's talking about the backside of water and the hippos and, Trader Sam and everybody. I'm like, just like the ride.
And it's so well done because it makes fun of the ride, which already makes fun of itself, making fun of itself. Like, it's just, there's layers of like...
It's just making fun Inception.
It's called being meta, when you're being self-aware of that, hey, this is pretty ridiculous. What are you scratching your head for over there?
I've never understood that term, meta.
Meta means like being aware.
Like, I get it. I just don't understand.
Self-deprecation type of stuff as well.
Well, then I'm meta all the time.
Yeah, well, so are. But he did like he did the little traps and stuff, or set up the little scare things like the fake hippos, because this is the Amazon.
Right.
Even the kid goes, the hippos aren't in Amazon. He goes, just look over there, the entire time. There were fake tribes people that popped out too that he cut deals with and stuff like that. It was just well done. I mean, they went overboard with the dad jokes. I did it again. That was the dad joke right there. I promise you.
I cannot.
Promise you I didn't do that on purpose.
You lie. So, I feel like there is a lot of dad jokes all at the beginning of the film. Mm-hmm. And then we get to the end of the film and there's like very few dad jokes. Even though there's a lot more action at the end of the film, it's like, oh wait, now Emily Blunt's character has all the dad jokes. It was really weird.
So, that's one thing I would say that they should just kept it with Frank. Like, if she wanted to do one at the very, very end, and she did, but like that be it. But she had like kind of a series of them. It was kind of like, that didn't really work that well for me. What I did like is, back to the beginning of the film, is they got all of that hokiness stuff basically out of their system right away, and then went on about a story. Like, because you're using the ride as a basis for a story, but you're expanding upon it. And if you just sit there focusing on every single piece of the ride and trying to make it work, it's going to get kind of boring, and everybody's just like, okay, well, you've already done that already. So, personally, I like that they got all that out at the beginning and then just focused on new stuff throughout because I like world building.
Yes.
It's one of my more favorite things out there.
Which they did not do very well in this movie, if we're honest. So, the world was fine, but the actual story and the plot around that world was what was lacking.
Well, that's
true. World building has storylines leading up to it, and plots that you can actually follow. Where it felt like this world building was, hey, here's this story about something that happened in 1556. Now here's this thing that happened in 1913, and then also there's these conquistadors, and then there's these people that maybe speak the same language as Frank and maybe don't, and then there's these trees with these fancy little flowers, and then here's Joaquin, and I'm not really sure what he does. And so it was just like all of these weird things, and then there was a tree, and then there was water. There was one too many things going on in this movie. That's what it felt like it's like we switched around too much. Because we're following Joaquin, I think is how you say it. It's spelled like Joaquin Phoenix, but it's Joaquin, I think is how you say it. I think that's right. The German prince, I think is what he is, and this is like in between World War I and World War II, he's all that kind of stuff. He is important. So he's the villain, but then the conquistadors are the villains too. Also the villains. And then there's this weird girl that dies. Remember the sick girl in the bed and she kisses somebody's hand? Who the heck was she? That was the conquistador's daughter. Which conquistador? It was the main one other than The Rock, who ended up being a conquistador, Francisco. There's your big spoiler from this. Which Kyle did not even get. Yeah. I got that. I knew he was going to be one of the undead people. I didn't. And Kyle had no idea that this man is 400 years old. I'm like, well, I saw that coming from a mile away. I had no, and I'm usually good at picking out I am stuff. Horrible at picking out stuff. And I looked at her and I said, did you see that coming? And then she goes, yeah. And I'm like, and so now, like, looking back, when he was referencing, like, I've made all these charts. I've been at every part of this. But river, it just made more sense. Like, why would he be, I don't know. He wasn't super into getting these flowers. I guess that's what it's called, like the pink flower thing. He used to be. But he was just like, yeah, it's on this river that I charter all the time, but I don't really care to find it. And I'm like... Because he's trying to keep her from necessarily finding it without revealing why he has interest in it. Because he doesn't want someone else to eventually find it and take that opportunity away from him. But then he had like this weird, like, shelf of all the information in his room. Right. It was just... I don't know. The plot holes, like, first of all, it felt like there were too many plots going on at the same time. That's fair. And then I wasn't really sure which plot we're following, like I said, because, okay, so now The Rock is trying to kill the conquistadors, or he's trying to save himself, and then he's trying to kill himself, but then no, he falls in love with Lily, And so then he wants to live and be old. And so now what happens, because she's going to die at a normal age, and now he's just going to continue to live on.
The curse is lifted, remember? So
he's a normal human now.
He's normal. Because remember, she even says, oh,
he's
you're bleeding.
Yes. And it hurt. That's right.
That was their cue to tell you that he's human again, or he's back to normal because he's bleeding now, not like when he had a sword thrust through him. So, like, when I saw him get the stab wound, I was like, all right, that's a little bit shocking. Didn't expect him to kill him this early. But I was like, they're going to bring him back, but I think it's going to be Lily getting the flower and bringing it back.
And then taking it to him.
Taking it to him and bringing it back.
Honestly, that would have been a much simpler plot to follow. Because when we got into the deep trenches of that tree hut thing, you know, and then there's like the bee man whose hands are made of honey, and then this other man that's like snake man, mud man,
tree man. It was so look.
It was too much.
It
was way too much.
No. So here's what would have made. I've thought about this. Actually,
okay, I'm ready.
They should have removed the German people from this movie. No offense to our friends from Germany, but like,
yeah, because how did they fit?
If they had made it about the Germans mainly. Kind of like it was. It's almost like they tried to put Indiana Jones in this, because I know you're not a big Indiana Jones fan. No, but the Nazis are involved in that, and so that's almost like they wanted that feel. They should have like separated from that, removed that, and what they should have done is made what's his name, Milo,
the real villain. Because we thought he was the villain at the beginning, but then he has nothing to do with anything.
Well, they could have made him an instrument of the conquistadors. The conquistadors should have been the main villains, and that should have been it. And like he is like somehow trying to help them come back to life fully. And I think that would have been a better, if you're going to have dual villains or something like that, as opposed to the Germans where they just kind of tried to tie them in together. It just remove Joachim. This thing works, I think, completely. For me, at least, it works a lot better.
I don't know. I still am not. I don't know. It was so confusing. And then there were all of these things like, oh, all of a sudden she's in the water and she's opening this trap thing and now there's no more water. But then we're back under this tree of life and there's more water. And then the rock is like stopping the water from going places. And then he becomes a tree and then he's not a tree. And it was very confusing for a kid's movie, and I know I'm not the smartest person, but I just felt like it was real confusing.
All right, well, how about this? Let's talk about individual performances very quickly.
Yes.
Lily Houghton's played by Emily Blunt.
Who did a great job.
She rocks my socks off. I'm just saying. Listen, I'm not trying to make it weird or anything like that. I love me some Emily Blunt. You know that.
I get that. She did a great job.
I am a fangirl for Emily Blunt now, just because. I'm just saying.
So you're going to go watch Devil Wears Prada with me now?
Let's not get crazy. I think she killed it in this. You know, they kind of almost went. This is going to be a controversial statement, but I'm going to say it. Have you ever heard the term Mary Sue? Basically, where a female main character is made like just super awesome at everything.
Okay. And
it's kind of like it's just one of those things that people don't like to see in movies.
Yeah.
She almost was that, but then they did a good job of building her story around why she's so good at all these things because of her background and her family life.
And they also remember that scene where McGregor, her brother, is talking to Frank, and he's like, "Yeah, she's a lot." So they at least acknowledge like. She's a lot.
And that's what works is because, hey, we are aware we've made this character to be good at almost everything she's doing here, and she's very strong, hard-headed, but in good ways sometimes too. But we're aware of it. We're acknowledging it. It almost makes it fun for me. But regardless, Emily Blunt does a great job.
Absolutely.
Rock did a good job as well.
Of course.
We've already addressed doing dad jokes, and he's just. It's surprising how funny and action-oriented you can be in one package.
And he's an actor. Can we still some days I'm just really? The Rock? He's an actor and he's a good actor.
You do realize what he came from, they are acting, right?
No, I totally get that. But this man is remembering lines. He's not just remembering plays, he's remembering lines now. But anyway, he did a great job. I did one quick thing. You know when we saw all those 8 million trailers that we saw? You didn't really realize that Lily's brother was such a big part of this movie.
Yeah, and I think originally I knew he was in it, and I kind of saw glimpses of the character in trailers, and I was like, he's going to annoy me. And at the beginning of the movie, he did, but he grew on me because, again, this movie, I think where it lacks in plot holes and stuff it's, again, very meta. Self-aware. We are aware that we are making these characters a little bit much in some areas, but we're going to play with it. It's just I figured this movie out. It's just like the Jungle Cruise. We are aware of how stupid this is, but we're going to have fun with it. And I think if you go into the movie with that type of mindset, it makes it better.
Well,
I might have to raise my rating up for this now that I've figured out the genius of this movie.
I'm not mad at it.
Talked about Nilo already. I mean, he's only there for a little bit. Should have been a bigger villain.
Should have been a bigger
Conquistador should have been the only villain. I don't really have much more to say about Joaquin.
No.
Just didn't.
Let's just leave him.
Trader Sam. I love what they did with Trader Sam. I'm gonna be honest.
Honestly, I was not anticipating Trader Sam being female.
I don't care what they did. I'm just glad that we got Trader Sam in there.
I was confused by it because that was the time when they're at like some pig roasting thing, and then we thought that they were gonna all die, but then really The Rock was like their friend, and
poor Jessica, she was confused throughout all this. The last thing I do want to say on this mainly is, again, I love world building. Mm-hmm. I think this has potential if it's not received well. That's going to be the big thing about this movie, depending on if they feel like they can invest in it. Probably not, but think about this. This could be a franchise now where they have other jungles they can go visit and develop the Adventure Society that's part of the story behind the Jungle Cruise ride. Okay. They can now go to Asia because there's an Asia section in easy for me to say.
Wow.
In the ride. There's an Africa section in the ride.
That's true.
There's even there's not an Australia section, but there's Australian jungles, technically Indonesian jungles. It's just, there are plenty of opportunities for them to go explore other things and build the Adventure Society.
That's true.
And I think not only did Emily Blunt and The Rock show that no matter probably what the story is, they work well together. They have great chemistry.
Yes.
I think if they learn from their mistakes on this, not too many villains, and they give us a new, fresh storyline like Quest that we haven't seen before, going to Africa.
Maybe.
Africa, I think, is where they need to go next.
I just don't know that a lot of people are going to see a second Jungle Cruise. I could be completely wrong. This could be the best box office hit of life.
It's not going to be.
But I feel like this is going to tank a little bit, and I feel like they're not going to want to make another one. But
Jungle Cruise 2 rains down in Africa when they play that song with
it. Good job.
And they put the music with it too. The rains down.
Anyway, one quick aside. Who do you think my favorite minor character was?
Oh, we're going to do that right now.
Yeah, just who do you think it is?
Not even major character first, minor character. For you, I consider minor characters you can remove them from the plot and they don't mess anything up. Is that what this one is?
Yes. Who is my favorite minor
Sam.
character? No.
Who?
The cat, the jaguar.
No, that would. Yes, I would accept that. It was called Proxima,
I think.
Which you saw that he had several ones throughout time.
Yes, because he's lived for 400 years.
And there you go.
Also, just real quick, obviously I didn't like this movie. The CGI was not up to par.
She's back to bashing it on.
Not,
I'm moving slowly towards defending it.
I shouldn't be comparing it to other films, but I am. We've seen what these creators can do.
Yeah.
Freaking you can make Star Wars, these things that are in space in a galaxy far, far away, but you can't even make a jaguar look real. Come on.
I thought it looked pretty good, personally.
It was okay.
And I like
there were opportunities.
I'm a big animal person. They did some pretty good things with the animals that appeared in this.
Those spots were accurate.
Spots.
You taught me that, jaguar spots are different than leopard spots.
How about this? I'll go back to what you said your favorite minor character. Mine was Trader Sam, because of just the fact of including them. And I thought the lady that played it did a good job of doing a new fresh take on it. See, that's what I like. I don't care if you change big characters from original source material if there's not already a humongous history developed behind it. There's not. It's just Trader Sam. Who knows who Trader Sam is?
That's exactly right.
He'll trade 2 heads for one of yours.
And to be fair, Trader Sam could have traded himself.
Wow. My mind has literally just been blown by what you just dropped right there, and I'm impressed. I am literally impressed.
See, you think I'm an idiot, but sometimes I do think stuff through.
Major character. Favorite major character.
Frank, actually. I thought he was really funny.
Yeah.
And I liked him. And even though, there were some weird things, I liked his character.
Yeah. Who do you think mine is?
Of course, Lily.
Emily Blunt. She's the best.
Also, could they have changed her name? Because why are we chasing after a flower and her name is a flower? Like, come on. You couldn't have named her Marie or Mary.
They do things like that on purpose.
It was annoying.
To attach some relevance to it.
But they weren't even going after lilies. Like,
it's kind of Lily looking, wasn't it? Kind of looking.
I like the name Lily. Like, there's nothing wrong with the name Lily.
Apparently, she's ruined the name Lily now.
I'm just saying, like, come on! Your names are Lily and McGregor? No.
McGregor! Conor McGregor.
There's no way.
I think if McGregor hadn't started off so slow for me and so bad, I probably would have liked him a little bit more.
I freaking loved beginning McGregor. When he tries to get on the ship with all of his stuff and Frank is like throwing it into the water.
Right.
I thought that was hilarious.
I think my favorite scene with McGregor was when he was letting the tribe put war paint on him.
Oh my gosh.
And he goes, it's not coming off. It's not that'd be because it's tattooing on your face right now. It's like, oh
it's
no.
like tattoo ink. It might be there for 20 years.
And he's got like it smeared across his face the rest of the movie. Like that was good stuff right there. So
there were definitely good things about this movie. I thoroughly enjoyed the first 30 minutes.
To fix this movie, remove Joaquin. Clean up the storyline just a smidgen and take away the dad jokes that, like, from Emily Blunt at the end of the day. And I think this is a solid movie. I think Jessica walks away from this a lot happier.
Yeah.
I definitely would be putting it way up higher on my list. But in all honesty, I know we were pretty honest about some of the things on here, but I do think this is a movie that you probably should go see in theaters or on Disney Plus just for sake of enjoying the ride.
See it one time.
Yeah.
Because obviously everybody likes different things. And my negative opinion is not going to be everybody's negative opinion. Because like I said, the first 30 minutes I thoroughly enjoyed and thought this was set up for a solid 5 out of 5 movie. I enjoyed the last 20 minutes. That just middle hour and a half was trash for me.
It's a fair assessment. I think that obviously fix those things. It's a lot better perception from us. And hopefully if we get a second installment, they'll learn from it. Jessica's like, please no, please no. All right, we want to know from you now in the comments section below what you thought about the film if you've seen it. Obviously, spoilers are fair game there. We've been talking about them throughout our review here, so don't worry about that. But let's keep that conversation going down there below. What else should they do?
If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel and turning on that notification bell so that you don't miss any of our content.
And we have more trailer reviews and, well, not trailer reviews. I've done that on a previous video. Movie reviews here on this channel. If you want to check out some of those, there's going to be a playlist available for you at the end, up above, and in the description for this video right now. Until we assemble again,
may the force be with you.
And we'll see you real soon.
Bye, guys.